Tony Dodd is sadly no longer with us, and attempts to obtain these photographs from his widow have proved fruitless. I contacted Derek many times between 2009 and 2011, but he was reluctant to give me details because he had suffered intimidation and was very wary of speaking to anyone. I continued to request meetings with him during 2010, and in November 2011 he finally agreed to meet me and record our conversation, but would not go on camera. Also present at this meeting was David Coggins, a friend of Derek Goff, who has known him for many years and was in touch with him when he first made contact with his military source. Coggins sat in on my meeting with Derek Goff and occasionally speaks in the recorded interview. The interview was intended for my own use at the time, but recently Derek Goff has agreed to allow me to publicise it. What follows are extracts from this initial meeting. Bear in mind that I have recently fully verified that Derek Goff's source is real. Is that where the story starts, Derek, with you putting the notice up?
Yes, yeah.
Was that what year was that then?
1986, November.
Okay, so if you could explain from there, from maybe your interest in UFOs first, and then what you did.
Well, my interest in UFOs started when I was a child. But going on from there, it was, we had an incident in Aberfan in October 96. After that incident, I was really interested, so I thought I'd try to do my own investigations and information on UFOs. So I compiled some posters, went up to the area of Cwmcadlan near Brecon, up near the Story Arms, and put them up on trees.
Right.
Because there's a visitor centre as well. That was on the 2nd of November 96. On 6th of January 97, I had a phone call, which I wasn't home at the time, stating that a gentleman would like to speak to me in regard to a poster that somebody given him would be up there,
right,
who was in the military. Okay. And the story went from there. He gave me the gist on the phone what it was about, and he said it's more serious than lights in the sky, and I arranged to meet him. Okay. And he did say he was in Special Forces. He said, would you like... whose car were you using? So I said, he said, can we use mine? I said, yeah, fair enough. So my partner at the time jumped in the back seat. I jumped in the front. Before we started off, before car was started, he showed me his documents, which was a card, like a credit card size, perhaps a little bit smaller than that. And it had an emblem on it. I'm not sure the emblem, but it was like a credit card then, with that little silver thing on it. And on the top it was NATO.
But even in NATO, I mean, I spent 2.5 years at RAF Germany. And you got the Dutch, the Germans, the Belgians, the Norwegians, the French, us and the Americans, and they've got big bases in in Germany they had at the time. And I would suggest that the people with the clout, even in NATO, is the US. Right. You know, the US military.
Right.
Predominantly, I think, rule the roost. That's my opinion, anyway.
This is who I am. He gave me his V5, which is from his documents for his car, to prove who he was. Yeah. I had already taken his number plate anyway, to check myself. So I knew who he was, and then he stated that he was in this Group 58, part of the Special Forces. He had other military documents as well, passes for RAF St Athens and mainly barracks. We jumped in the car, we started off, we went up to Caerphilly, down to Cardiff. I mean, he must have been doing 25, 30 miles an hour. I mean, on the A470, that's slow. We carried on talking, and he started telling me about, he was on find and secure. That's what his job was, find and secure.
Find and secure.
Yeah, when objects came down. We carried on the conversation. My partner was taking notes about writing, but then he came out with some photographs. Stopped the car in a lay-by.
And did he say how many was in his team when they go out to these?
5. But the important thing about it is when these objects came down, their job is to find and secure an area. And put his hand in his pocket and then took out these photographs. Colour, full colour. Asked me, was I alright? With the feeling of seeing something I wouldn't be sure of. And I said, yeah, I'm thinking of being a bit naive. Showed me the photographs, and it's just, mouth went dry, just something that you think, I'm in a car with this man and he's showing me these. You know what I mean? And he was a big bloke, like.
Right.
What were the photographs of, Derek?
Okay.
A girl and boy. Girl of 16, boy of 21.
Right.
Can't go through it now, so I can't.
Difficult for you to
Can't do it.
explain right. So there were 11 photographs, right? And
No genitals. Had gone.
just take your time.
Teeth missing. That's. And the boy had most of his skin was peeled off. All the top layers, just red. It's just horrifying.
Right.
And that was horrifying enough on its own, but to think that you're in a car with this man and my partner in the back, I mean, I think I'm a bit handy, but compared to this guy, after what I seen, I thought, and I'm stuck in the middle of this.
Right.
Anything could have happened to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So just to specifically ask you about the injuries, Derek, if that's okay. Did you see any edges of flesh cuts or anything like that?
No, just no genitals, nothing.
Right, okay.
All gone.
But there weren't any. I mean, like in the animal mutilation cases, you have certain characteristics.
No, where the genitals are, it was like a circle, like
A circle.
gone out, like a cutter had gone in, but it was
Like a cutter had gone in and taken them out. Okay.
yeah, it's just, but it was no mess, eh?
No mess.
Which I understand now, but I didn't understand then. But now I know about
Right.
this blood thing that
Right.
carries on. I mean, it's just clean cut. It was just like somebody had put a cutter in and
Right.
taken it.
So just to get them, we'll quickly list them. So the genitals were gone on both the male and the female.
Yeah.
Right. And what about the breasts on the
Gone.
female?
No, nothing. No teeth. No eyes.
No teeth, no
Lips
eyes.
are gone.
Okay. And were they decomposed at all?
No. That's another
Okay.
funny thing.
And was the skin gone on the entire bodies on both of them then?
No, just on the boy.
On the boy. So he
He said it's like somebody just peeled it off,
right,
all the top part.
right, and but the girl had her head hair removed and all of that.
All the hair had gone. It's like if it looked like a newborn child that had been, but had grown up, born like that. Nothing. No facial hair, nothing at all.
So she just had genitals removed. And
Breast
removed. Lips.
No, well, if I say eyes, the eyes were sunken in then.
Okay.
And he said to me that when he checked it, because he got to check for certain things, possibly life, there was nothing there.
And did it look as though the chest cavities and stomach area were sunken at all, or did they look like normal?
No, they looked. Well, the breast was just like somebody had sliced the breasts off,
Okay.
and it was just red there, just that
Right.
deep colour of red. But
Okay.
there was nothing coming down the sides
Right.
or.
So was any blood dripping on the carpet?
No, nothing at all,
Okay,
nothing.
So we were just talking earlier about how similar this sounds to some animal mutilation cases. For example, if taking breasts, we find that in some of your cases, tell us what has happened with udders and all the rest of it.
Yes. Well, it's quite common for large semicircular or circular cuts to be made and a whole udder of a cow to be removed, or on the side of the body sometimes, in sheep as well.
Right.
So why they're doing that, I don't know.
I mentioned before that on both bodies, Goff claims that they were hairless. All the hair had been removed on the heads and the pubic hair.
So that checks out with the 7 bodies up in Dalby Forest. Then,
Yeah, and we were looking at a picture of a seal earlier on, which just tell us about that, David. I think you've got it down there.
Yeah, this is interesting because we're back in Yorkshire again, on the beach at Filey, which is not a million miles from Dalby Forest, on the Yorkshire coast, and I think it's a harbour seal. And it's got some very neat holes at the back end. There's two circular holes, probably in the anal area, and then the second one genital, and then there's a sort of oval-shaped hole further up its tummy, very close to the circular hole there, and then the head has been completely stripped of all tissue. Not a whisker, and very neat sort of edge. There's a massive abrupt change between its neck area, with it's still the outer skin there and the blubber, and then you've got the skull and the jaw, including the ears and the back of the head, pristine, and it also had one of the flippers.
Did he say where these photographs were taken?
Yes, he did. Well, I asked him that.
Yeah. And where was that?
Up in Brecon Beacons.
Up in the Brecon Beacons area.
Mm.
Right.
And did he explain to you what their part of the mission was in dealing with those corpses? Just tell us what he said.
Wait for the military to turn up.
Right.
American. The Americans always turned
So
up.
their role was to go there, seal the area off,
Find and secure.
find and secure,
And do nothing else.
and then do nothing else. So they weren't allowed to touch them. or
Nope,
anything.
nothing.
Right. Then they had to wait for the Americans.
Yes.
Right. And did he say what the Americans then did with the?
There was a police officer was called up to the military range up in Brecon. Top military police officer, I think it's above inspector, and they were told he tried to intervene on the investigation that was going on because it was in between public land and military land.
Right.
And the American officer said to the gentleman that I was I'd been in touch with, if he doesn't go, he said, shoot him.
Right.
That's how bad it was, he said.
Right.
And he said, believe in me, if he hadn't gone, he said, I would have to done it. I was under orders, I had to do
Right.
it.
So this team he was in were under orders from the American.
Always Americans, he said,
Right.
always.
Okay.
And that's not the first time. He said he had other photos as well. This is where this other gentleman that we're talking about from Yorkshire got more information out of him again, and other
Can we
photographs.
name that?
Yeah, Tony
Yeah,
Dodd.
Tony Dodd. So, and did Tony Dodd tell you where he put them, or what he did with them, or whether he gave them to anybody else?
He said he got them in. I got some in my possession. I've already put them in a safe place. He said, but there are other places.
There are
He
other
didn't say
places-
friends, other places.
Other places, plural.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, because that's one thing that I have tried to do. David Caton spoke to his wife to try and get those, but she allegedly threw out all of his research material when he died. So.
Or could somebody have got there?
So he showed you the photographs on the first time, 11 photographs. Did he give you the photographs at that point or not?
No, not then.
Right.
No.
So did he tell you what they do with the bodies when the Americans take them away?
RAF St Athens,
RAF St Athens,
the north side.
the north side.
That's coming up from Barry.
So that was where they would always go.
Yes.
And then presumably you don't know where after that. Or
That's where the Americans were.
Right.
Down in an hangar, he said. It was a big building on the north side coming up from, as you're coming through Barry towards Cardiff. It's on the north side, you can see it there, he said.
right.
Did he take you up to the Brecon Beacons to show you where things happened?
Yeah, he showed me burn marks.
That's-
Burn marks in the grass.
Burn marks. Right.
Size of, bigger than this room.
Right.
There's nothing grew on it, it's brown.
Bigger than this room. We're in a room about what, 20 odd feet long. So 20 feet. Burn.
There was no, it wasn't, it was just a massive piece of burnt ground. Nothing on it. It wasn't, as people say, marked little circles. It was just one big massive circle.
So did he give you the impression then that the military really have got no control over the UFO? The UFO is doing its own thing and they're there to clean up afterwards? Is that?
That's what he said. What he didn't understand was, I had to ask him the question, how did you take photographs? I mean, it's not your job.
Yeah.
But he said, we've seen so much of this in the UK and elsewhere
Really?
that we started carrying these little cameras around. For their own reason then, I mean,
Yeah.
because they couldn't believe what was happening.
Yeah, yeah.
But to have them developed, he had to give them to a special friend of his
Right.
who was
Obviously.
into
Yes.
developing.
Would they be dispatched from Wales then to go and recover?
RAF St Athens, that's where he was based.
He was based. So
Like you said-
they could go to another country.
He said if they could be, the fast response, they could be anywhere. And they also had planes at their disposal.
Right.
And get anywhere. If it is to do within British jurisdiction, they would be there.
Right,
But the Americans would also be there as well.
right. And did he say if it was somewhere that was more remote? Did he say how they found out about the cases?
Radar,
So it was
again.
So it was. So they can pick up the UFOs on radar and they can differentiate that it's a UFO then. Presumably.
What he said, but they can't say they know nothing about them because they're waiting for them.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Did he give you the impression that sometimes he was sent to areas before the UFOs arrived?
Yeah,
Right.
on the expectation.
All right. So they'd be dispatched before the UFOs arrived. That's interesting. But he didn't. Did he say anything about how they would know that?
No, they were sent to Salisbury Plain. Things are happening down there that they was talking about mutilations down there as well. To find out what happened to the people there.
Did he mention any mutilations were taking place other than in Wales?
Yeah, Scotland, Ireland.
Right.
Now we're talking about places in Ireland which comes under the Republic, which is County Wicklow, Kilkenny.
Right.
What I still can't understand is how we knew the girl was 16 and how the boy was 21.
Right.
How did he know that? They were already dead.
Right. And were they laid out on the ground, or were this
Perfectly. I'm glad you asked that question. Absolutely perfect. It's like if it were somebody just placed them down, like if they'd gone to sleep.
And the 16-year-old girl and the 21-year-old man,
That was a car.
That was a car, and the seats were gone,
Yeah, front seats.
and the engine was running with the doors
Yeah,
open,
which I don't
and they
understand.
were laid out on the ground. Okay.
Some distance away, not.
So not
Close
right
to.
next to the car.
No.
Right. Okay.
They found the car first,
Right.
and then
Found
went
the car. Right.
on their little exercise to
Okay.
see what else it was around.
So,
Doors open, big camper van, called from RAF St Athens, went up there, circled, seen where it was,
in the helicopter.
yeah, landed, away from they got decontamination or something, or scenes of something,
Right.
went over, inspected the vehicle, toys, and clothes, just ordinary things, and no engine running, lights on, never found nothing,
Right.
no bodies, nothing. That van then was taken down to RAF St Athens
Right.
again, which you would go for testing. Like you said, the Americans would be down there again.
Right. So this was just presumably a family that had gone missing. So the
Yeah.
bodies were never found
No,
in this.
nothing.
Right.
There's-
And that's another thing he said. We finding vehicles, there's nobody around, but there's no investigation. I got to be honest, so after you've seen something, and you get up in the morning, you can't believe what you've seen.
Yeah.
So in the conversation that very next day, which was the Tuesday, 7th of January, I asked him to meet again because I wanted to talk to him, asking some more questions. Like I said to him, what can I do with the information? He said, you can do anything with the information as long as you don't give my name.
Right.
So I asked him for the photographs again. Upon seeing them, I decided on that Wednesday night, I decided to go to the police on Thursday morning,
Right.
which I did.
On Thursday morning. You didn't have the photos then, though?
I had them.
Or he gave you some?
Yeah.
Did he give you copies then, or originals? Or
Copies, no, you wouldn't get...
Were they colour copies then? Or?
Yeah, full colour.
So he gave you full colour copies? Of what,
And
all
they were
11 photographs? Or?
Yeah, glossy, very glossy. No,
So, and how many were there?
11,
11 photos.
which I made copies of.
Right. So you then made your own copies?
Yeah, which I had to, for my own well-being.
Yeah.
And then I gave the 11 photographs to the police, South Wales Police,
Yeah.
which was Detective Constable Adams from Mr. Mannock Police Station.
Right.
He said that they were going to arrest him that very minute after I'd come from there. Went home, went back in the morning. I come in back in the morning to see what happened. Went there. Could I speak to Detective Constable Adams, please? He's gone on holiday.
You had given them all 11 photographs?
Yeah, that's where they'd gone
Right.
to arrest him.
They went to arrest him.